Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to go full meatball and then hopefully rein it back in. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You can go see games at family-friendly, affordable prices with an opportunity to see an actual win. Doesn't that sound lovely? Less than 90 minutes from the city limits, and in one of the best arenas for minor league hockey that exists in the beautiful BMO Harris Bank Center in downtown Rockford, Illinois. Head on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. All right, Alex.
Hey. Full meatball? Are you going full meatball? Are you sticking to full meatball?
I'm going to rein it in at some point. I just need to air. I feel like since we are in December that we need to go Festivus and air the grievances.
I like that. That's a good idea.
And what the absolute hell happened today? What in the hell? The only bright spot of this whole game was Cody Parkey because he didn't miss anything.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, I want to put on. Have you ever seen the Australia episode of The Simpsons?
Oh, yes.
I want to put on the giant boot and kick Vic Fangio in the butt. I don't want to punch Matt Nagy, but I want to grab him and shake him a lot. And
I'm just picturing you doing that right now.
And then I want to watch the All 22 so I can figure out who decided not to cover Odell Beckham in the end zone on a 4th and goal when they decided to go for it.
If there are two plays from this game that pissed me off the most, it's that, and it wasn't even a play. It was a decision, and I'm sure it's the decision that makes you want to take out that giant boot. Tell me, am I missing something? What benefit does calling a timeout with dying seconds in the half do for you? Did you really think that you were going to get the ball back with like 10 seconds to go at like maybe the 20-yard line? Did you really think Chase Daniel was going to drive you down in like 10 seconds and score?
So I heard after the game, the press conference, and Matt Nagy said that his goal was to call a timeout to get his punt block team out and block the punt.
Come on, that's John Fox from last year.
Yes, that's where I'm going is, all right, I heard what he had to say. I processed it, and then I went, Bullshit. You have not blocked a punt since, I was running around in diapers. This team doesn't block punts, and they're not going to block a punt to miraculously jumpstart this game. Just let the clock run out in a terrible game that at halftime you could have been up 14-7 and that team ready to quit and come out in the second half and do what Philadelphia did to them the week before and just mash them. Mash a team that quits. And instead, you gave them life.
I'm usually not one to be all, momentum this, momentum that, but I do believe that gave them a whole hell lot of confidence because that was really kind of set up by that Barkley run. Barkley was getting stuffed throughout the first half. They couldn't get him going. As soon as he pulled off that big run, then you noticed the rest of the game, what did he do? He ran all over you mercilessly.
It's just so frustrating. That was a team that was just ready to quit on that game. They were ready to quit.
They looked dead. They were dead.
They were dead in the water. They were ready to quit. And you said, no, don't quit. Let's play this out and see how it goes.
You just had the momentum in the game, and you basically, you gave it away. Now, look, the Bears played a terrible game today. They were awful across the board for the most part. We'll get into the details later, but you can agree with me. Overall, it was a very poorly, lazy, bad game by the Bears, yes?
Absolutely.
And you could also probably agree that while the Bears did seem to gain some momentum after the Hicks touchdown, Refrigerator Perry 2.0, that outside that, the Bears never really had momentum because every time it looked like they were gaining it, they gave it away. Look back at that drive. They were moving the ball nicely, and then the interception. He was targeting Cohen. It was way underthrown, and it was intercepted. Again, every time it looked like they were really gaining some momentum in the game, they gave it away.
Yes, in a game like that, it's ugly game, and you took away. They started hot, and then you beat that life out of them, and you climbed your way back in, and you took that 14-7 lead. Take that in a half. Don't try to, come up with this miracle thing that jumpstarts your team, and they start playing like they should be playing again. It's a trap game on the road against a team that had nothing to lose, and you're looking ahead to next week is you just take that 14-7 lead and you keep beating the life out of them by, stuffing them with your defense and just chipping away on offense. That's what you do. And you get that victory and you leave and you go, we dodged a bullet. Now we're 9-3, and let's go watch the Vikings lose to the New England Patriots and prepare for the Rams.
Well,
that's what you do.
You know for a fact that I've said many times I was worried about this game because of what a trap game it was. It was the epitome of a trap game.
It wasn't. I don't even think it was so much as a trap game as your backup quarterback stinks on ice. If Mitch Trubisky's in this game, you don't lose.
No, you don't.
Because you never even give them that opportunity, because you don't throw that interception right off the bat for a touchdown.
I would sure hope that.
You're able to drive the ball more, and when your defense is stuffing them and your offense is putting up points, suddenly you don't have to worry about calling a timeout to block the punt. You just take it and let the clock run out, and you go into the locker room and you're probably up 21-0, maybe 21-3. And then boom, you come in the second half, they quit, and then you run up the score, and then Chase Daniel can come in and play.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you that if Mitch played, they probably win. I do agree with that, but I still see it as a trap game because of who they were playing, when they were playing them, and the fact that, okay, look, yeah, Chase Daniel was probably the biggest factor in this game of why they lost. Not the only one, but the biggest. But there were also a lot of other things that went wrong too. Now, here is where I get another John Fox vibe from this game. And I'm not calling Nagy John Fox. I'm saying this was a John Fox game because it looked like a game from last year where the opposition was on the field more than you were, so the defense was out there for so long, and by the end, you started to get tired.
Yeah, it was just infuriating all around. And you're right, you can't put this all on Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel led the charge with dog shit play, but there was a lot of other people that played like dog shit in this game.
Definitely. And it sucks because that was probably Akeem Hicks's best game of the year. That was a great performance by him. But, I mean, and hey, look at what Kyle Fuller did. He looked really good today. Prince Amukamara was looking good. And then the Odell Beckham Jr. touchdown pass happened. And he just kind of stood there.
All right, we've got our overall opinions on the game over. Do you want to talk offense or do you want to talk defense?
Let's just get offense out of the way.
All right. So, Chase Daniel, I mean, first I want to start off with Jason LaCanfora tweeted out at the end of September. This tweet just said, Chase Daniel and with the greater than symbol, Mitch Trubisky.
Let's just say the replies today to that tweet were frequent and not so agreeing.
Yeah. As well as you know, they shouldn't agree with that because it was a dog shit hot take. And it was one that didn't age well, and he's got to own that. You know, he needs to today or tomorrow just go, I was wrong, and just eat that. Because otherwise, Bears fans are never, ever, ever going to let him live that down.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you quote unquote take your L. I mean, if you just admit you're wrong on a take, then people forgive you, everyone forgets about it. But if you keep trying to like defend yourself or ignore it, then people are going to be hammering on you for a very long time.
Yeah, here's a case in point. Is I was looking back at draft notes, and I was not very high on Eddie Jackson. I'm going to own that. That was wrong. I was wrong on that call.
Yeah,
so
you were.
That's how you do that. I was wrong. I eat that one. My bad. And I'd much rather say he wasn't going to be good and him turn out to be great for the Bears than me say he was going to be great and then be awful. So I'll take the small victory in there, but I was wrong. So that's how you do that, Jason LaCanfora.
Yeah, and anyone else who was calling for Chase Daniel over Trubisky in general. Now, did you go full meatball during the game and say, screw it, bring Tyler Bray in? Did you ever do that at any point?
No, I didn't, because good Lord, I don't know what you're going to get with that guy.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what you're going to get. Even though it looked good in preseason, that was preseason.
Chase Daniel looked good in preseason too.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't want a guy who doesn't know this offense well and that was on the practice squad to come in there and try to win this game. That's not what I want. And I was going full meatball, and I was yelling and screaming so much that my dog left the room.
Oh, I was yelling louder than I have in a Bears game in a while.
Yeah, so there was no way I wanted Tyler Bray to come in this game.
I have another big bone to pick with the offense today. Jordan Howard was finding his groove, and they stopped using it. He was running all over the place. He was finally finding it. Your big power back, your number one running back was finding it. And then you're putting Mizell in there? And why is Mizell still taking special teams punts and kickoffs? Why is he still back there? Why is he still even... Why is he not just used very sparingly? He's essentially a fourth stringer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole thing, this whole game started off with a bad special teams play by Mizell. And it takes an awful lot for me to go, man, I miss Benny Cunningham in taking kickoffs. And we asked, and everybody asked, why is Benny Cunningham taking kickoffs? Because he's sure-handed and he makes the right decision.
Yeah, he won't Devin Hester anything, but he won't do anything like that.
Yeah, he won't Devin Hester it, but he also won't Taekwon Mizell it either.
Right. And I mean, that's one thing, but Why was he using Mizell so much when Howard was finding his game?
Howard and Cohen
And
were
Cohen,
both
yes.
playing so well, and you're like, nah, let's put Mizell in. That seems like a good idea.
Look, if you were up by like 3-4 scores late in the fourth quarter, yeah, fine. Give the ball to Mizell all you want. That's fine. But when it's a close game in the middle of the game and your 2-star running backs are finding their groove, come on. Where's the logic in that? This is like Coach Quenville's love for Micah Roosevelt over Nick Leddy.
Oh man, it's so frustrating. But then, I mean, the game started off bad on the kickoff, and then just went right downhill from there. It's the first play from scrimmage. They try to run Jordan Howard against one of the worst running defenses in football, and he just gets stuffed. Then, just the epitome of this game happened, and Chase Daniel throws a terrible ball that goes right to the linebacker, who then runs it in, and somehow, standing right there, the official missed the fact that the linebacker had a full heaping handful of Chase Daniel's face mask, and they didn't call a face mask on that.
Yeah. There were a lot of missed calls in this game. I mean, there were a number of missed calls on both sides, but there were some pretty big ones.
That was terrible. Like, I get it when it's at the end of a play and it's as somebody's spinning, but when it's like he's dragging a guy and he's got a hold of his face mask and it's on a touchdown play and you're 6 feet away, how do you miss that? How do you not call that?
I don't know. I was more upset about the Tariq Cohen call. But, that's just me.
But then, so you give up the pick six right off the bat. So you're down 7-0 on the road in December in a trap game. And the second drive is only a half step better than the awful first drive. Penalties, stuffed runs, sniffed out screen passes. That just tells me that the Giants did all their homework and the Bears phoned it in.
The beginning of the game, they came to play. They were ready. It was kind of funny because they came to play with a ton of energy. Then once the Bears took the lead, they phoned it in. They looked like they were dead. And then we gave them life, and they pretty much didn't relinquish it until the very end. And then we gave it back to them in overtime. So it was very weird throughout the game, but we can definitely say that the Giants came to play when this game started.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad teams always want to start out good, and then when things, hit hard times, they typically quit.
That was a team with nothing to lose.
And the Bears had a lot to lose, and they still lost. And it's frustrating is the play calling to start the game was terrible. I get that you have your backup quarterback in on the road and you want to establish the run. I get it, but you need to not be predictable. Is they knew you were calling the run and they stuffed it out, and then you were like, oh, well, we'll go to the screen, and it was a predictable call, and they sniffed it out and they punished you. They scored a touchdown, and then they absolutely stuffed you. They knew what you were going to do. They were prepared for it, and you can't be predictable unless the only times you can be predictable is if you are so much better than the other team. So like when you are, have this, a couple of years ago when I think it was Ezekiel Elliott's rookie year when you had that amazing offensive line with the Dallas Cowboys. They knew you were running the ball, but they were so good that there was nothing you could do to stop it. But you're the Bears on the road. You can't run the ball, and you have your backup quarterback. So they know you're going to do short passes and screen passes and run the ball. Everything is going to be short, and they're going to keep 8 in the box, and they're going to bring those safeties down to be prepared for short plays. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep. Okay, I have a question for you. Agree or disagree? Simple answer. And then, of course, you can justify your agree or disagree. Would you say this was Matt Nagy's worst game as a Bears head coach? Because I think it is.
No.
No.
I think the Packers game was the worst game, the first game.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I also think that it was his first game, so I may give him a little more pass on that one. I just felt like in this game it was so simple, some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, this was a terrible game, and it was right neck and neck with that one. I just think that one, it was, you had a good game plan and then you got away from it and you let a bad Green Bay Packer team climb back in and beat you when you should have won. This is one fair. This is one where you started off terribly, and at the end of the game, your calls got a lot better. So that's the reason I gave the edge to that other one, because you started great and went downhill, and this one you started awful and then picked it up a little bit.
That's fair. Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I really can't.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is the growing pains of having a rookie head coach.
Yeah, it is. It is.
We knew the day was coming, and we hoped it was all behind us, but it reared its ugly head today.
Yes, it did. Now,
and the good news is that, we're going to have to eat this for at least another week. But the good news is that every other team in the division lost, and the Saints lost on Thursday night. So we won't have the national media just going, "Oh my God, the Bears lost to the Giants. We told you they were really," because then they're going to be picking at the Saints too. The Saints are where we thought they were.
Every time a team loses, they always have to dig up some new narrative. Like, I guarantee you, if the Packers would have squeaked out a win today, everyone would have been like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers, oh, this team is great. They're ready to go. Ho, 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 ho."
Yeah. And, everybody, 5 minutes before that game, the Saints are a juggernaut. How's anybody going to stop them in the playoffs? How are you going to stop the Saints? The Saints, the road to the Super Bowl is right to New Orleans. Drew Brees is going to win this Super Bowl MVP. Who's going to stop him? You already beat them at game. And now it's, "Oh my God, what is wrong with the Saints? Oh my God." And now we'll just get back on the Chiefs bandwagon.
It's like every team has to go 16-0 to satisfy the national media.
Yeah, and there was.
And by the way, please use that voice more often. That's wonderful.
There's been one team that went undefeated throughout the regular season and then won the Super Bowl in the history of football, and they were arguably the worst Super Bowl champion in the history of Super Bowls. So I don't care. It doesn't matter if you lose a game in regular season, if you have a stink bomb in the middle of the season. It's how you play in the playoffs. Guess what? The Saints are going to the playoffs. They're going to get a first round bye. And they're probably going to have home field advantage in at least the first round. Yeah, they're absolutely going to have a first round bye. And they there's a very good chance that they're going to have home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. So, yeah. You know what? It was just a bump in the road, and it's going to be back to work next week. And hats off to the Cowboys. Guess what? The Bears are going to win this division, and they're going to go to the playoffs. And there's going to be a home playoff game at Soldier Field, and they're going to have to then go on the road to either the Rams or the Saints and have to play a really tough game against a really tough opponent. And that's just the reality of it. So it doesn't matter if they had a stinker in this game. It doesn't have any bearing at all on the playoffs. there's me reining in the full meatball.
Man, you're already declaring them NFC North winners? Ooh.
I mean, here we go. There's 4 games left. 4 games left. They've got a game and a half lead because every other team in the division lost. So
Yes.
you are a game and a half up with 4 games left. Statistically, you have like an 80-something% chance of making the playoffs. And if you look at this in reality, is all right. Odds are not very good that they beat the Rams. That's gonna be a tough game. So even if they lose that one, who do the Vikings have next week?
Don't they play Seattle? I know they play Seattle at some point.
Let me look this up quick. Vikings schedule.
Now, while you look that up, one of the points I made today was nothing was really lost by this loss, so you can move on from it. The only thing that was really lost was possibly a good chance or a decent chance or maybe even a respectable chance at a first round bye. But in terms of the division, everything is pretty much status quo from, before noon today. So nothing really changed. It's only annoying because a win today with all those other losses, that pretty much would have ended any race in the NFC North. Any possible hopes for the Vikings probably would have been crushed. They're still not great, but they're still not eliminated from a chance at the NFC North. But a win today, it would have been nice because it would have made everything so much easier. If you're 9-3 and everyone else is at least 2.5 games behind you, then you're thinking you pretty much can't lose this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It would have been nice. It's always a cushion. But, the Vikings have Seattle next week.
Do have the... Okay.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough game. Seattle's fighting for a playoff spot too, and they are hitting their stride.
Yeah, they're hot right now.
So it is not a gimme game here. And so let's see. Bears are 8-4. Vikings are 6-5-1. So the best they can do is 10-5-1. So you have to win. If you win 2 games, that almost all but guarantees you win this. I guess you have to win. If you go 3-1, you absolutely mathematically there's nothing they can do.
Well, I think 10-6 can win this.
I think so too, especially since you play them again.
I'd really rather not see the NFC North come down to week 17.
Oh yeah, I don't either. But here's the reality: is you've got what was the final score of that Seattle game today? 43-16. I get that the 49ers are not that good, but they thrashed them. And the Vikings looked bad against the Patriots. And so the Bears have the game against the Rams. Vikings have a game against Seattle. Then the Bears have the Packers, who have no head coach right now because Mike McCarthy got fired, which I told you was going to happen. The minute that they were out of the playoffs, he was gone. And they are, I think they're mathematically eliminated from winning the division. So Mike McCarthy gone. So the Bears are going to be playing the Packers with an interim head coach.
Which could be good or bad.
I don't think it's good. And then the Vikings are going to be playing the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are fighting for a playoff spot as well. And then the Bears get the 49ers, who they should beat. And the Vikings have the Lions, who they should beat. And then it comes that last game of the season against each other. I think the Bears wrap it up. I think the Vikings lose to Seattle, and I think the Bears lose to the Rams, and then I think the Bears win against the Packers and the 49ers, and that they're at 10-5, which means the Vikings at that point would be 6-6-1, 8-6-1, so they couldn't win. So I think that's where we go.
I hope you're right. I really do. I really do. Yeah, I hope you're right.
But the reality is the Bears are in the driver's seat. They're up by a game and a half with 4 games left. I mean, anything is possible, but they would have to collapse to lose this.
At least to make the playoffs even. I mean, I feel like the playoffs, I feel really good about the playoffs. So, I mean, hey, at least there's that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, playoffs. Let's see. So, NFC wildcard standings. So, the current wildcard standings is NFC. Rams have the number 1 seed. Saints have the number 2 seed. Bears have the 3 seed still. Cowboys have the 4th seed. Seahawks have a wild card, and the Redskins have the wild card. So right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the Vikings are out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
And the other teams, so the teams that are out of the playoffs currently but are knocking on the door, the Vikings 6-5-1, and the Panthers 6-6, and the Eagles 5-6. The Redskins are without their quarterback, so I have a feeling that they are not going to hold that last spot.
I don't think so either.
The Panthers are just plummeting like crazy, and the Vikings are playing the Seahawks, so one of those teams is going to hurt the other one. So and then after those teams, it's the Buccaneers are 5-7. They're not going to be, and then the Packers are 4-7-1. So for the Bears so the Redskins are 6-5. So you are 2 games ahead of them. So you would really have to suck to drop out of the playoffs. Like you would have to really
You'd have to lose out. You'd have to lose out. I certainly hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, because either after next week, either the Seahawks are going to drop to 7-6, or the Vikings are going to drop to 6-6-1. Either one of those helps the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, you just need 2 more wins. Like you said, you need 2 more wins, and you're good.
Yeah, and the Redskins play the Eagles. Is it tonight or tomorrow night? So
I think the Eagles could sneak in still.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. So yeah, right now they're 3rd place in the division. There's the Cowboys are 1st, Redskins are 2nd, Eagles are 3rd. And so I thought they were playing this weekend. Let me double check. They're playing on Monday night. So it's the Redskins, Eagles. So after that game, either the Eagles are going to be 5-7 and kind of eliminated, or the Redskins and Eagles are 6-6, which, again, puts them multiple games behind the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it would take something pretty catastrophic for the Bears to miss the playoffs. And, again, I don't think that this loss was devastating by any means. It was just annoying because a win today would have almost cleared any doubt whatsoever that you were going to wrap up this division race as soon as possible. I think if they were 9-3 right now, that there wouldn't even be a division race. It would just be a matter of when they would clinch it.
Yeah, because they would be 2.5 games up with 4 games left.
Yeah, I mean that would be close to 100%. It would be at least 90 probably.
Well, let's see. If they were 9-3, regardless of what the other rest of the team or division was doing, and 9-3, your probability of making the playoffs is 97%. At 8-4, it is 82%. So, this is based on percentage of NFL teams that make the playoffs from 1990 to 2013. So if they lose next week, then they're 8-5, drops down to a 70% chance. And if they win the next week, that puts them in 9-5, brings them up to 84. And then if they beat the 49ers, that brings them up to 97%. So they own this, as long as they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm currently looking at the NFL predictions. It's for, it's updated. Okay, so it's project538.com. What were you reading again? I'm sorry.
It was statistics based on the percentage of NFL teams that make playoffs by record from 1990 to 2013.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at calculated odds right now on projects.538.com. And right now the Bears are a 94% chance to make the playoffs at 8-4, and they are an 80% chance to win the NFC North with an 8% chance of a first round bye. And I'm looking at pretty much over 99%, which is basically means they're making the playoffs. Those are New Orleans, Kansas City, New England, and the Rams. Looks like they've already clinched.
Rams clinched.
Yeah, they clinched, and they have a 98% chance at a first round bye. So, I mean, they're in pretty good shape right now. And the Patriots are going to clinch probably next week with a win. So there's that. And then all the way down at the bottom, you got Oakland, which has been eliminated. Then you have all the other teams that are pretty much eliminated, like Buffalo, New York, Cincinnati, Arizona, Cleveland, San Francisco, the Jets. And the beloved Green Bay Packers are currently at 1%.
Yeah, the Patriots, if they just need one more win and they clinch.
Yeah. They
clinch the division. The Chiefs have not yet clinched the division.
No, they're over 99% to make the playoffs. They're 93% chance to win the division. 82% chance for a first round bye.
Because the Chargers right now are 8-3, Chiefs are 10-2. So right now they're only, depending on what they do today, the Chargers could only be one game behind. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, going into that game, they're 85% chance to make the playoffs, but only 7% chance to win the division.
The Steelers are 7-3-1, but the Ravens are right behind them at 7-5. The Texans need one more win and they win the division. So they're a
Texans.
The South and the East are pretty much wrapped up. I don't think there's any way the Chiefs don't make the playoffs. They should win the division. I don't think the Chargers are that good. So that means Patriots are in, Chiefs in, Texans in, and then probably the Steelers, and then the wild cards, Chargers and Ravens. That's what it's looking like right now. And then the NFC East, I have a feeling. I think the Redskins could have taken the division had Alex Smith not gotten hurt.
I agree.
But that team is kind of done with 5 games left and with a backup quarterback. I think the Cowboys wrap that division up. Rams already locked up their division. I think the Bears lock up that division, and the Saints have already won the.
They're over 99% chance to win the division. They're probably going to win the division.
They would. Well, I mean, I don't know what the tiebreaker is offhand, but they are 4 games better than the Saints or the Panthers with 4 games left.
They're going to win the division.
Yeah. So who? So is it division rank? I don't remember what the first tiebreaker is. So the Panthers must have the tiebreaker versus the Saints because, they are because they haven't locked it up yet. But the Saints.
Well, the Panthers are also in free fall mode, so I don't think they're worried.
Yeah, the Saints win one more game and they've absolutely won the division.
Because Carolina right now, just a few weeks ago, they looked like a lock to be at least one of the wild cards. Now their chances of making the playoffs are only 16%.
Yeah, they're free fall. I mean, the Buccaneers are probably going to pass them up, and that's a team that's just a disaster.
You know who I thought could make a push to the playoffs? I thought the Colts could make a push. Right now with the loss, though, they're only at 9%.
I mean, anything's possible for that wild card. But they would have to get that last wild card because for that last wild card, they're only 1 game behind the Ravens for it. So, it's possible.
Right, they basically have to outduel the Ravens.
Yeah, which is possible. But
it's possible.
But, here's the thing is the Packers aren't making the playoffs. The Bears.
Are you sure about that?
Well, the Bears can eliminate them with one more win from winning the division. And the best the Packers could do is 8-7-1. Do you think that makes the playoffs?
No.
And the best they could do is 8-7-1, and so the Bears need one. The Packers need to lose 1 game, or the Bears win 1 game, and they eliminate the Packers from winning the division.
They showed a chart last week of how the Packers could make the playoffs. And it was basically they'd have to win out, and then a bunch of other scenarios, like 4 of the 5 had to happen. I would love to see that chart now. And I would love to see like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and anyone like on ESPN for that matter, as well as Fox Sports, try to convince people how the Packers are going to make the playoffs somehow.
You know what? I'm going to do that exercise for you. I'm going to, after the show is over, while this is uploading, I'm going to do that exercise and I'm going to tweet it out to you.
Please do, because I'm genuinely curious.
I'm curious too, because then we can just cross off the things as they don't happen, and then we can watch the Packers just not make the playoffs. And
if the Packers somehow make the playoffs, I will do something very embarrassing.
Well, are you ready to put your money where your mouth is right now?
Uh-huh. I don't know what I do, but I do something.
I'd do something embarrassing with you because it's not going to happen.
Okay.
So let's switch over to the defense.
Okay.
So the defense, in the first half, other than that one play by Saquon Barkley where they missed the tackles, the only real play that they got momentum on, it was a 20-yard reception by Odell Beckham that Roquan Smith should have either batted down or intercepted, and he got there late. He didn't react well to it. He didn't react quickly to his coverage. And he should have intercepted it, rookie mistake. And that was really all they did in the first half.
I was hoping for more interceptions. They had one, but the thing is, when they were giving it to Barkley in the second half, Eli wasn't throwing. What was infuriating was when Eli was throwing and completing passes in big moments. That was frustrating. Particularly the play where they were 3rd and 1, and then they were able to convert. Now, the sack negated them from scoring on that drive, so it didn't end up mattering, but it was still kind of annoying. You know what play I'm talking about, right?
Yes. You know what? There's a couple things I forgot to talk about on offense. Can we swing back to that real quick? We didn't talk about Akeem Hicks scoring the touchdown.
That was fun.
It was really fun. And Greg Gabriel tweeted out that running that play is saying that you don't respect your opponent. And I tweeted out a response to it, and I said, I disagree. It's 4th down and goal from the 1 yard line. And Jordan Howard has gotten stuffed how many times on those types of plays this season? Who's the most powerful player on your team? And we know he's been practicing on the offense because he said so on the radio. Is you give it to Akeem Hicks. The defense was in absolute perfect position to stop that run. And Ogletree hit Akeem Hicks and, on the other side of the goal line, and Akeem Hicks just I can't be stopped, and ran right through him. That's why you run that play, because Akeem Hicks cannot be stopped from crossing the line of scrimmage on offense or defense.
You got to go all out when you're on 4th down.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I immediately played the refrigerator man song when he scored. They call him the fridge.
But here's another thing is, Allen Robinson, that catch that he made against the other guy's helmet, how good was that?
That was awesome.
And how was that not a pass interference?
I don't know, but it was awesome. What's kind of weird when I thought about that? That reminded me so much of the Alshon Jeffrey helmet catch, which was also an overtime loss to an inferior opponent in a playoff race on the road.
And Greg Gabriel sucked in this game. I'm sorry, Greg Gabriel. It's Taylor Gabriel. Wow. I was talking about Greg Gabriel's tweet. Taylor Gabriel sucked in this game.
I was going to say, what did he do?
He had some bad takes. No, I was just talking about his tweet, and then I saw that. So Taylor Gabriel really sucked in this game. Drop passes, missed run route, fumble. I mean, that fumble kind of cost them the game too.
Yeah. I mean, it was not a good game by him, and it's another one of those. It was a bad game, not anything to worry about in the long run. It was just simply a bad game, but nevertheless, a bad game.
Yeah, because then it comes down to is how many times can you fumble in a game on the road in December and win? How many fumbles were there?
A lot. And let's talk about those fumbles in overtime. Those were backbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And why can't Chase Daniel throw the ball away?
Good question.
Is anytime there was pressure, he just tucked it and ran, or tucked it and fell down, or just, bent over. Like, why can't he just pick the ball up and throw it away?
I don't remember him actually throwing the ball away in this game. I legitimately don't.
Because it didn't happen.
Right.
It was infuriating. Is you can overcome the fumbles, but how many times there was the one where there was the fumble and he just picked it up and he could have just thrown it out of bounds. Instead, he just fell on it. Why? Just throw it away. You cost yourself an extra, or you lost your team an extra 7 yards.
Yeah.
Why? Matt Nagy has to be absolutely livid with Chase Daniel, because that was an absolutely abysmal performance. And that is the game that anybody's going to cite. If anybody ever gets amnesia and goes, oh, there's a quarterback controversy on this team.
There should never be a quarterback controversy on this team. Never.
No. And with the offenses, they sucked at times, but when it came down to it, they were able to score. They were able to score, quickly and really make this a competitive game where they should have just lost by 10 in regulation. Is you came down, you got the field goal, and then somehow miraculously get the onside kick. And I think that was a case of Odell Beckham does not want to get hit.
It was pretty amazing how they forced overtime. I actually didn't see it because I had to leave, so I was listening to it on the radio. Because I didn't have it on the radio at first because I'm like, okay, this is going to be a loss. All of a sudden, I see my phone blowing up saying they recovered an onside kick and they still have a chance. Then I turn it on, I listen to the game-tying touchdown. But, I mean, a lot had to go right to get to overtime, and it did. That was probably the most right that went for the Bears the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, so on the onside play, they kicked it right to Odell Beckham, and he really just needed to run up and fall on it.
Yep.
And he didn't. He didn't charge. He just sat back, and I think he just didn't want to get hit. He didn't want to get hit.
It's possible. I'd have to look at it. I didn't see that.
Yeah. It was a miracle. I mean, either they got lucky or they were like, oh, we know he's a coward and we're going to come right after him. But then the touchdown that they scored to tie the game was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So did you end up seeing the play or did you just listen?
You mean the onside kick?
No, the touchdown to tie the game. I
just listened. I was driving.
Yeah. So they ran a sweep and then reversed it with Tariq Cohen. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to try to run this in. And he threw a pass to Miller. And I went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It was so shades of the Super Bowl. And when he threw the touchdown, I lost my mind. And then the stat came out. Tariq Cohen is the shortest player to ever throw an NFL touchdown pass in the history of
awesome.
NFL. Which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
But then overtime came and offense bumbled and stumbled.
And so did the defense, really. I mean, they kept him out of the end zone, but I mean, right off the bat, you had that near 30-yard run by Barkley. And that pretty much established that they were going to at least score on that possession.
Yeah, you should have really stuffed that and then been able to kick a field goal for the victory. But, you have a quarterback that does not have command. He may understand the plays, but he does not have command of that offense. And he doesn't have a rapport with your center, who is not that good. He's a really good blocking center, but his exchanges are terrible, which is why in the first place I thought you'd put James Daniels at center and move Cody Whitehair to guard. But, that's neither here nor there.
I would have loved to have seen a pick six end that game for the Bears. I was just hoping for it. I was praying for it. I thought the way the game was going, the momentum they have, the way this team has been, they're going to make some big defensive play to win the game, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. I was hoping that would happen, but yeah, well, the Giants just didn't want to give up. But defensively, I thought they got decent pressure for the most part. I thought they can, except for a few, runs, that I thought they contained Saquon Barkley fairly well. Leonard Floyd got in on the sack game. But you just had a bunch of breakdowns. The ultimate was on, there was that touchdown pass that Odell Beckham threw, and what the hell was Prince Amukamara doing? He watched the play happen and just didn't run over there. And if anybody would have been in the vicinity, that's a interception or breakup because that ball was so underthrown. The receiver had to stop and wait for it. And I'm like, oh, please freeze, have so much time that you watch this and go, oh man, I can't flub this. And then flub it. That's what I was hoping would happen because it was just dangling there so long.
Yeah, when it first was let go, I'm like, oh, we can intercept that. And then all of a sudden the camera pans and he's wide open with nobody around him. I think I stood there mouth agape for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then you have that 4th down and goal. And if you stuff them, I think you win this game as well.
Sure.
And you stuff 3 runs. Was it 2 runs in a pass play? But they go for it on 4th down. And you bring pressure. You get to Eli, and he just heaves a ball up. It was an amazing laser beam throw that was right on. He just threw it up in the air, and there was nobody covering Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep, literally nobody. That's
how
I slammed my fist so hard on the couch when that happened.
That's the infuriating part is how Vic Fangio is a very good defensive coordinator. And sometimes his teams just have these absolute major meltdowns and things fall apart. It happened against the Dolphins. It happened against the Packers. It's happened today. It's how are your teams suddenly not prepared?
I don't know.
Like they will go 95% of plays where they're just right there and they're, contesting balls in the air or they're getting pressure on the quarterback. And then there's other times they're just like, what's a defense? What are we doing? What's going on? And they just let plays blow up. I don't understand. And it's happened enough where you go, what are you doing, Vic?
I don't get it either. I don't.
It's just so frustrating. I mean, and overall, you come out in the second half, and you have halftime to make adjustments and prepare, and be like, all right, well now they got this field goal to bring it closer, so it's 14-10. Let's come out and close the door. They get the ball in the second half. Let's shut them down. And you don't. You let them get back into it. You stop being able to stop the run. You are giving up, big chunks of pass plays, and you're having blown coverages. And I don't know what's happening. I mean, I really would love to look at the all 22 to be able to diagnose these, but there's too many veteran players for this kind of gaffes in breakdowns in the coverage.
I mean, that right there, like I said earlier, was probably the moment I was the most furious in this game because it really looked like they were going to stop them. After those, 1, 2, 3 downs, it really looked like they were going to stop them. And that could have turned everything around right there.
My only hope, and this is just throwing shit against the wall and seeing if it sticks, is what if this turns out to be a positive for the Bears? Is that they fly back home from New York and they're just embarrassed. They go back and they watch the film and they prepare and they're like, we don't want to feel like this anymore. We are a team that should be winning these games. And they come out and they make a statement against the Rams and they beat the Rams.
Oh yeah, I mean, that'd be great. And I can't help but wonder, well, the first round bye, I guess, is still on the line, but I feel like since they've clinched the playoffs, I just wonder how hard they're going to keep playing for now. But, I think they're still probably going to play hard.
I think they at least put this one away because they it's a big game against the Bears, but and they don't have it locked up yet. But I mean, if the Bears and you can smash the Rams in the mouth, that has got to be a huge confidence booster that you can beat the team with the best record in football. Then why can't you beat anybody else?
Well, we see this happen all the time in the NFL. You see it happen a lot. You know what's funny? I was thinking about how this was the first game since Thanksgiving, and it's like last time they lost to an inferior opponent from the NFC East. Just like 2015, they beat the Packers at Lambeau Field. They have a chance to climb into a playoff race, a possible playoff race, and then they crap the bed against Blaine Gabbert and that terrible 49ers team. It was kind of a similar thing, but you hope that you can just turn it around and play angry in a good way next time with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope is you take this. And I mean, if you're going to go 1-1 in these two games, I would much rather lose to the Giants and beat the Rams than the other way around. Because if you beat the Giants and lose to the Rams, everybody goes, "Oh, when we knew the Bears can only beat bad teams. You cannot beat. They have a statement win. Blah blah blah. No statement wins. Here's the team." But if the Bears lose to the Giants, then you have to suffer for a week of, yeah, we knew what the Bears were. The Bears lose to other teams, and this is probably never going to win the division and make the playoffs, and they're going to get first pick in the draft because of the terrible team, and Mitch Trubisky was away to draft, and Matt Nagy can't coach, and Brian Payne should be fired because he drafted Kevin White. And then if you beat the Rams, we all knew that this Bears team was so good. 85 Bears, Super Bowl shuffle.
Yep. In that exact voice, in that exact same voice. Here's another perspective I put on this stretch. If you would have told me a few weeks ago that they would have gone 1-1 with having to start their backup quarterback on the road both times, I'd take it. And the other thing you can look at it and say is, if you're going to take one of those games, if you're going to go 1-1, then be glad that the game that you did win with your backup quarterback on the road was against a division team. Just just to try to make you feel a little better.
Yeah, beat the division team. The Giants, it's a non-division opponent. They're a terrible team. All it does is hurt their draft status, so then they can't get a quarterback. So then they can suck going forward. So it's our master plan to keep the Giants sucking.
I was going to say that's not really a good win for the Giants when you think about it.
Because you need a quarterback.
I actually kind of hope they win a few more games and they're stuck in the middle. That would be kind of funny.
Yeah. So you, I mean, if you're the Giants, that's a terrible win. I mean, it may feel good that day, but you're like, come the draft in April, you're going to be like, damn it. Why did we win that game?
True.
Yeah. So what's the current NFL draft order? So that win drops the Giants to the 7th pick overall, whereas they would have been 4th.
Yeah, that could be.
That is the difference between getting a quarterback and not getting a quarterback. And there's 0% chance they're getting in the top 2 picks because the 49ers and Oakland suck.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's passing up those 2 guys.
But I mean, like we said, is this sucks. This hurts, but it is far from costing the Bears overall. It was a long shot that they won a first round bye.
Yeah, it really was.
You would need help. You would need the Saints and the Rams to lose multiple games, and that's a lot to ask with how good those teams are and where we're at in the season. But everybody lost in your division, so it's kind of a wash, and there's not a lot of good teams that are fighting for the playoff spot. And you still have a division lead by a game and a half with 4 games left. So in the grand scheme of things is the Vikings don't have a cakewalk schedule. They've got, they got to beat the Bears. mean, they sort of have to beat the Bears. They've got to
they
beat
do.
Seattle. They've got to beat Miami. They've got to beat the Lions, which they should. But, as we know, is beating a division opponent twice is never an easy task.
No, and the Lions are a weird team because they can show up and give you a pretty good game. I mean, you look at their game against the Rams, it was a close game throughout most of it.
Yeah, it was actually real close for a while, and then just the Rams poured it on.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, the Vikings, this puts the pressure on the Vikings. I mean, even though you don't win, is you go on the road to Seattle on a primetime game, which is never easy. And you then come home to play Miami, who is still fighting for a playoff spot. Then you go to Detroit. So you're playing in Detroit. And then if you win all of those games, then you have to beat the Bears on the last game of the season.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for them. And like I said, nothing was really lost today. It's just kind of annoying that they didn't really advance their cushion, because if they would have won today, you could have almost said that the rest of the way could be just kind of a cakewalk to the playoffs. And, it's still very likely they're going to make the playoffs. It just, you don't want to make it more difficult than it has to be.
Yeah, that's the thing, is every win in the NFL is hard to come by. You got to take advantage when you have them. And this was a game on the schedule that you circle and you say, we need to win this one. And you didn't take advantage. It shouldn't come back to bite you because no other team took advantage of it. But it means you just have to be better in your last 4 games.
Yeah, for sure. The only annoying thing is Mr. Narrative when he speaks, but I try to ignore Mr. Narrative.
If you look at the Bears season by quarter, then the first quarter of the season, you are 3-1, which is a good record. The second quarter, you are 2-2, which is okay. And you just wrapped up the third quarter and you are 3-1, another 3-1. So if you just do what you've done, either 2-2 or 3-1, you should make the playoffs. You should win the division.
Yeah, let's hope that translates.
And this is a very, very doable 3-1 schedule. I mean, the Rams is a tough one, but you dominated the Vikings when you played them. 49ers are a bad team, and you're playing the Packers team, who hasn't won on the road yet this season, and they just fired their coach.
Yeah, I'm still not chalking that one up as an easy one.
I'm not chalking up to an easy one. I'm just saying it is a winnable one. It's not one where you go,
of course.
Other than the Rams, there's none of those games where you're like, oh man, I don't know how the Bears win that one.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Like,
definitely.
honestly, I know anything happens, but the way the Rams team has played this year, I'm not sure how the Bears win that one, barring hurting Jared Goff or Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a tough one. I think the only way they do is if they kind of get some luck. I mean, if you make some big plays, you can definitely make some big plays against them. But, if you could get like a lucky deflection for a pick or, something like that, then that's probably going to be their best chance. But just flat out beating them is going to be incredibly tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say about this Bears team.
I don't either.
I wanted to talk Blackhawks, and I want to talk a little bit about the Bulls and Lauri Markkanen's return, but I was so annoyed today. I was like, we'll talk about that next week. But there's one topic I do want to talk about, and you can probably guess what that topic is.
Yeah, I think I can guess.
And I didn't think we would talk baseball, and because really, typically this is the signing time when we be talking, but so the Cubs had the opportunity to non-tender Addison Russell and be done with him. Not be tied. You're not tied to a contract. You don't have to trade him. You could just non-tender him and walk away from the situation. And the Cubs decided not to do that. And the worst part about it is, rather than facing the fire and talking in front of the media and have to answer their questions, they released press statements.
I gotta tell you, there have been days where I'm not happy as a Cubs fan, but I don't think there's been days as a Cubs fan where I just looked at them with great shame. I was really disappointed the way that all went down. I thought it was kind of spineless, actually.
Yeah,
I think the bigger team would have parted ways. I really do. I think they wouldn't have messed around with that. And I'm going to say this. Based on what Melissa said on Instagram recently and what they said about trying to rehab him, I can respect that. I do respect the fact that they're trying to get involved with prevention. That I do respect. But I still don't think that you should be going on trying to bring him back, because to me, it just says in the end, they want to try to have faith in a young baseball player who's really proved nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if with his ex-wife being fairly supportive of the decision, and I can semi buy what they did, but the fact that they did it, it was very Garpax-ish when they had that end of season press conference while in the middle of the night while there was other stuff going on, and it was a cop-out.
Was that the one where the Hawks playoff game was going on or whatever?
Yes, and they just did it when nobody was watching. It was like 9:00 at night during a Blackhawks playoff game. And I felt like this was a lot like that, where they just, here's this press statement, and nobody could ask any questions. I thought it was a poor choice. And then I read, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that if his ex-wife, Melissa Reedy, if she wants to communicate with him, whether it's about their child or whatever, he will not answer phone calls or texts. She has to email him. And
I didn't hear that.
If that's true, I don't know how much I buy his rehab. Is I can understand being ashamed and embarrassed by what you did and not wanting to face her. But if it's things about your child, how is our child doing in your care? Is you should be able to put all your baggage that you caused behind you and say, everything is fine. I'm doing what I need to do here, and you be a man about it. Don't play games with, nope, you have to text or you have to email me. That's just childish, and that just, if it's true, it just shows me he hasn't learned anything and he hasn't grown up at all.
I'm just curious, where did you see that? Because I haven't heard that.
One of my coworkers showed me something. I didn't see where it was from, but she's a Cubs fan, so she was disgusted by it. I'll have to ask her where she found it.
Again, what really does bother me right now is that they haven't had any sort of presser about this and talk to us directly. Talk to us directly, and maybe we'll be a little more willing to either believe in rehabilitation of this guy or really kind of see how this is going to help things in the long run. My hope is that at the end, that what happens is best for Melissa and the family. That's really what's important here. But you want to actually have some hope that there is going to be some closure for her and the best is going to happen for her, because right now it just sounds like a bunch of talk. And this
Yeah.
happened on the same day with the Hunt thing and the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't mess around. They got rid of him. Now, that's a whole different conversation we could get on, but it just, to me, made them look a little worse.
I do want to talk about the Chiefs just a second. I agree that the Chiefs came out and they did the right thing and they got rid of him. But that event happened in February.
Right. That's why this is a whole can of worms.
We're in December, and I'm hearing that the whole thing came about is because TMZ got a hold of the video. So this was all getting ready to be washed under the rug. TMZ got the video. Apparently the NFL and the Chiefs never saw the video.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
How is that possible? How does the NFL not be able to get a hold of that video?
I have no idea.
How in that investigation process are they not allowed to see that video? I mean, if it goes down to, well, only, or, we can't, by law enforcement can't show it to you, then you know what the NFL should do is they should say they're part of their policy should be like, okay, well then that player is suspended until his legal team shows it to us.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL is cowardly, and the Chiefs were totally fine with riding with this until it blew up in their face. And granted, once it did, they made the right choice. They didn't mess around. That came to light, and they just went gone, boom. They didn't hem and haw, and the Cubs already had suspect behavior when they brought in Aroldis Chapman.
Yep.
And the Addison Russell thing is just another black eye for the organization.
That preaches character so much.
I have friends that are, from other parts of the country that, they were like, what's up with your team? And I can't defend it. I have no room to defend it.
No, I know. If you're a non-Cubs fan, you're telling me that you hated what the Cubs did, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not.
I mean, what I ended up doing to justify it in my own mind is I made a donation every time Aroldis Chapman made a save for the Cubs.
Great.
And I will probably, if Addison Russell stays with the organization, probably make a donation every time he hits a home run.
There you go.
It still doesn't make it right. And part of me wishes I could just speak with my wallet and turn the Cubs off. But it's a huge part of who I am, what I do. It is really hard. And, it's a small thing I can do to justify why, my part of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great thing that you did. That really is. Because, a lot of us were uncomfortable with the Chapman thing. And, what's kind of nice is that he wasn't the one who got the big historic final out. I think that Rajai Davis home run happened for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. And I'm glad that he ended that World Series run crying because he blew it rather than celebrating because he won it.
Right. And I think that, some people would debate, but wouldn't they be hypocrites if they got rid of Russell? To me, it would have been, they would have learned. They would have learned that that's not accepted by a lot of people and that you shouldn't do it again. At least that's how I see it.
Absolutely.
I think if you learn from your mistakes.
I really hope that female fans.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I said I really hope that female fans take up the mantle where the rest of us kind of fall short and speak with, their voices and their wallets and say, we're not supporting your league, your organization until you do the right thing. And hopefully then this kind of behavior stops.
Yeah, I'd really love to hear from the organization. Give me a press conference with Ricketts, Epstein, and Russell. don't make Melissa do anything. If she wants to do something like that, fine, but don't even ask her. If she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't want to do it. But you want to hear from them directly if you want us to take them even a teeny bit seriously.
Yeah, and the people I want at the press conference asking questions, I don't want, the normal rank and file. I want Sarah Spain. I want Julie DeCaro. I want female reporters asking questions.
Oh yeah, I mean that's probably the right thing to do because you want to show you respect your women fans in this kind of situation because let's face it, this kind of move is taken as big disrespect by a lot of these women fans, and I can't blame them for feeling disrespected.
I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of Cubs reporters that I feel like would just throw softballs up there. The Patrick Mooney's and the Jesse Rogerses and the Gordon Whitmires. I feel like they would, they might throw a little bit of a fast softball, but I think they're going to throw softballs up there. I just feel like the female reporters, especially Julie DeCaro and Sarah Spain, are not going to let them off the hook. And if they don't like that answer, they're going to follow it up and speak their mind. And I think this organization needs to feel the fire on their feet.
Yeah, when you make decisions like this, you got to be prepared for this kind of thing. Now, I get it. We all get it. This does not mean he's going to be playing on the team next year. This is not guaranteed. I understand that. And I still hope that he's not. And that I hope that they can rehab him. I hope they can make things right with Melissa. And I hope they can truly make a stride to prevent this kind of thing from ever happening. But I still don't want him playing on this team again.
And there's people that are going to, be upset and say, well, why doesn't people deserve a second chance? Maybe they do, but you don't deserve a second chance for everything, from every situation. I mean, are you going to give a second chance to Jared from Subway? You going to let him around your kids? Be like, well, he deserves a second chance. No. Does Addison Russell deserve a second chance?
He has to earn the second chance.
That's where I'm getting.
I think the best way to say it is he's got to earn the second chance.
And what has he done to earn it? Nothing. He'd already
a few months of rehab. What's that going to do?
He knocked up another woman while he was in the middle of, ducking this scandal. He hasn't learned anything. He hasn't done anything to show remorse. He hasn't done anything to show he has dealt with the issues. He didn't even face the media and deal with this. He has done nothing, and he has not earned a second chance.
Exactly. Second chances have to be earned in this situation. And, sometimes that means making yourself right, and second chances come maybe with another organization. I just don't really want it to be here. Yeah.
Is you take a long time off, you figure it out, and then you show what you did, that you admit what you did, show remorse, show the steps you've taken, face the criticism. And if at that point, then somebody, maybe you've just earned a second chance. But at this point, no, you haven't done nothing to earn a second chance.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see how this progresses.
Yeah. Hopefully those 40 games or whatever he got, he does something in that time span to show some remorse and some growth.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else I really wanted to talk about. How about you?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out a little bit.
I'm sorry. I didn't really have anything else I wanted to talk about. How about you?
The Bulls and the Blackhawks are really, 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 really bad right now, and frankly, I don't really want to talk about them, so I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I promise next week we will talk a little bit more about Blackhawks and the Bulls, but I just, after the Bears rough loss and this Gold Cubs situation, I just wanted to lay those out. So yeah, I guess this is going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit us up on social media at ShyFanPat1, at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com. You can hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or the TuneIn app. And your homework this week is to share this podcast with at least one person that you know that likes Chicago sports. That is how we grow, one new listener at a time. So definitely, check us out on social media, and thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Denver New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on the plains.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears.
Oh, when the Bears go Bears.